Again, welcome. My name is Jean Beal. I'm the Senior Vice President for Programs and Services. So what are partners in excellence? As soon as I get the first screen to move, we'll be able to see. All right. It's a two-day gathering of Catholic Charities member and affiliate member agencies that are in a region. They're geographically proximate. And we do that in order to be able to make it available to as many local Catholic Charities agency and affiliate agency staff as possible. We know that in our annual gathering every year, we maybe get 500 to 600 people, but there are over 50,000 employees in Catholic Charities agencies around the country, and many of our direct service staff and administrative staff never get the benefit of meeting other people from other Catholic Charities agencies who are doing similar work. They don't get to see themselves as part of the larger Catholic Charities movement. So our goal here is to give those staff an opportunity to feel themselves as part of something bigger than them and to understand why it is that Catholic Charities does what it does. So it's always our goal to have at least 3 Catholic social service agencies, Catholic Charities or their partners, including at least 2 of the diocesan Catholic Charities agencies in any partners in excellence that we do. These all happen through a local planning committee that works with me and with our convening staff here at Catholic Charities USA to plan the event in terms of time and how many people are going to attend and when it's going to be and where it's going to be and what the content is. Although Catholic Charities USA has its own goals in this, and we include our own plenaries. We'll talk about that in a second. The rest of the content is really up to the planning committee so that it meets your needs. It touches some of the regional issues that are important to you wherever you are and gives you an opportunity to spend some time together with the agencies in your region exploring issues that are important to you. In order to make it worth our while, we don't do these unless we can get at least 40 participants. However, we generally get about 125 to 150 and have had as many as 350 in one of these regional gatherings. So it's quite flexible and expandable, and we hope that it's designed in such a way to allow as many staff and volunteers and board members as possible to attend. So our goals are pretty simple. We want to increase understanding of Catholic identity for the whole Catholic Charities ministry in the United States. We want to increase the engagement in the national movement to reduce poverty in America. And currently we're doing that by explaining to people not only about poverty, but about the Catholic Charities ministry's new strategic priorities around the country. We want to do some local agency capacity building with the training and networking opportunities for management and direct service staff. And we identify and recognize social innovation among programs. The funder wants us to provide one $5,000 award to an agency program that shows innovation. So we have sort of an award application, and agencies that are participating can put forward one or more of their innovative programs that are judged by outside local agency folks who know about innovation, and one program then gets a $5,000 award at the event. How does the responsibility break down? So Catholic Charities USA does all the logistics. That means that we contract for the location, we set up the meals, we make sure that there's a place for everybody to sleep, although we don't pay for those places. We come to you. We also, however, when and where, we decide that with you based on what's convenient for the group, what's centrally located to the agencies around which we're planning this. We try not to have it in a hotel if at all possible, so that's an important thing to start thinking about, because hotels are expensive in terms of their audio-visual. We've been having much better response using retreat houses and college campuses lately, so that's something to keep in mind. Conference centers are also usually better than a hotel. We manage the plenary content, but we ask that the planning committee help develop the workshop content so that it meets the local needs. We do, and I'll talk about this a little later, Catholic Charities USA does have a menu of sort of fill-ins in case you can't come up with enough topics locally that you want to share with each other. So we bring speakers. Often Sister Donna will come, Brian Corbin comes, I'm always there, and then if there are any choices from among the Catholic Charities USA menu, we'll bring one or two other staff with us to do the speaking. We have contracted with a clinic to come and do some presentations in various places. And then the rest of the speakers and trainers come from your staff and your partners that address the topics that are important to you. We do some marketing. We put the event out in our weekly digest. We have it on our website. Meanwhile, we also produce for you a trifold, like a flyer that you can use with your staff. And then you do marketing with your staff, figure out who you can bring, and get everybody excited and registered so that when the event happens, we have the right people there to enjoy the opportunity. We manage the registration process here, and you all pay $50 per person for the two-day event. We're able to do this because we have a grant from an anonymous foundation that wants to support the spread of Catholic identity and the reduction of poverty throughout the Catholic Charities ministry. So that's why we're able to provide it at such a low fee. We also do all the printed materials for the events. There's a program book. Everybody gets name tags, you know, the usual stuff when you go to a conference. And then you provide for travel and lodging for your staff. As I said before, we try to have it in a place that's economical for you. We also provide you with some options. In Ohio, when we did it, some of the agencies decided that rather than have one staff come for 2 days, they would have one staff member drive in for the first day and then go home, and then the second staff member use the second half of the registration for the second day, so that they didn't have any overnight costs, although they had twice as much transportation cost. So it's just something for you to consider. The idea of having people stay overnight builds a real sense of camaraderie and a sense of people feel like they're really being appreciated if they get to share this opportunity. So this is all seen as a member benefit. The Social Innovation Prize, one per event, is part of it. The reasonable registration fee, and then the training and networking opportunities around your regional issues. And we include, at no additional cost, CEUs, we call them CECs here, continuing education credits for social workers or licensed counselors. So what does an event look like? And these, again, are very flexible, expandable. We can start earlier, we can start later. We can have more well, we can't have more workshops, but we can have fewer workshops. The workshops could be longer, the workshops could be shorter. All of this is negotiable, but what it might look like, and why do I have day 2 first? Let's go to the next one so we can see what day 1 looks like. So folks travel in. 10:30, 11 o'clock is when we start opening plenary. Sister Donna does. She's currently doing a new moment, explaining how the strategic priorities will lead us into the future. We usually have lunch together, and then a workshop session. And depending on the number of people who attend, we can have 2 workshops during that session. We can have 3. In one place, as I said before, where we had a large crowd of folks, we had 6 workshop sessions. So we kind of balance it out, like one session for every 30 people or so. So it's important for us early on in the planning to figure out how many folks will actually be attending. Then we have a break. If you attended our annual conference in Omaha, there was a live performance, a one-man, one-act play called, what's it called? Something about Visionary at the Helm is what it was called, and it's about Monsignor O'Grady. And we get that performer to come, and he does the performance. And what we hear generally from the participants who attend is it's sort of like a painless history lesson. In fact, very enjoyable. So we've included that to the extent that the performer is available. Then we have another workshop session with, again, 2, 3, 4, however many workshops we need in order to keep everyone engaged. And then we have a plenary that we call a Four Corners discussion. I'll explain that in a little bit. And once that's over, we give people a bit of a break and have dinner for those who are staying overnight. So an opportunity, again, for camaraderie and fellowship. Let me go back to day 2. So day 2, we usually start with liturgy. Either a priest chooses a member of your staff or someone from the diocese. Once in a while, we'll even have the bishop come and do this liturgy for us, followed by breakfast. And then we have another plenary. This is the one that Brian does on Catholic identity. Set of workshops, hot topics lunch, so that people who haven't had a chance to meet other people doing similar work in other agencies get to sit together during this lunch. So we set up tables, one on immigration, one on homeless services, one on asset development, and so on, so that folks pick a table and meet people from other agencies that are doing similar work, exchange cards, and talk about what they're doing creatively. Then we have another plenary, which is me doing Poverty in America, and then another set of workshops. We kind of pull it all together, wrap up, do an evaluation, and adjourn by 3:30, 4 o'clock or so that people have time to drive home. Okay, so that's what a schedule might look like. We always include prayer at all the usual times. So an opening prayer, an ending prayer, a meal prayers, and then, as I said before, the liturgy. Looking for local help there with maybe a pianist or an organist or a guitarist who can be with us for Mass to just sort of open it up a little bit. But we have also just done a cappella singing. But yeah, prayer kind of wraps the whole thing. And then we have these 3 plenaries that Catholic Charities USA is bringing to the event. And workshops, as I said before, the number varies based on the number of participants, and they are given by your staff and your partners. And as I said before, a menu of topics available from CCUSA staff, which we are constantly freshening and refreshing. And then a little bit about the Four Corners Dialogue. So what this is a way for everybody to get involved in teaching each other and learning from each other. So the planning group chooses or develops questions, 4 questions. We divide the room into 4 corners. Duh, that's why it's called Four Corners Dialogue. And we get volunteers who become the conversation starters or the dialogue starters. And there are 2 of these in each corner of the room. And they're sort of semicircled around with the chairs of the listeners who are going to, the rest of the participants who are going to engage in this conversation. And we choose a question, and this is just a sampling of some of the questions we've used in the past. Put that up on a board between the 2 people and let them start talking. And then after a few minutes, if someone who's listening wants to participate in the conversation, and we certainly encourage them to do this, they get up and tap out one of the speakers, sit down in their chair, and continue the conversation. So we have about a 45 minutes or so conversation on each of these topics, and staff that are listening after about 15 minutes or so get the opportunity to switch to a different corner and engage in a different conversation if they want to. ends up being very enjoyable. People get to meet each other in a different way and have a chance to share a lot of their learning and a lot of their good work. So we're getting to the end here, and I'll open, actually I'll invite you to ask questions in a few minutes, but the next steps for this would be that I will be sending a doodle poll to folks who originally received the invitation to come to this webinar. And the doodle poll will help us select a date for our first planning meeting. We actually have 5 different regions that we're inviting, so we'll end up having 5 different meetings, but each group will have its own doodle poll and be able to select the dates that are convenient for them. And you should always feel, as the director of your agency, feel that it's okay for you to name somebody to the planning committee, just so long as you give them, authority to help make decisions that will be relative to this. At the first meeting that we plan, we'll focus on the date and location, and that will help us decide when the other meetings will be in the future and the estimated number of participants, so that we have some sense of how many workshops we're going to need to come up with. And then we'll start just tossing around, brainstorming, training topics that are important to you and your staff. So that's my last slide. I would invite you, if you have a question, to write it in the chat box or the question box. Raise your hand. I can unmute your line. And hopefully I can answer all your questions. Here we go. Greg has a line. Unmute him. There we go. We're trying to. All right, Greg, your line's open.
Okay. Hey, Jean. Thanks for the presentation. Really appreciate it. What's your recommended time frame in terms of, from initial planning to implementation of kind of how long you see this taking, and kind of best months or best times of the year that people have used it in the past?
So it takes us about 5 weeks, not 5 weeks, 5 meetings to get the work done. So anywhere from 3 to 4 months probably of preparation. Depends really on how well people work on it, because if you come to a meeting and everyone has great ideas and they know the speakers that they want to bring, it all moves pretty quickly. But if sometimes it feels like you're pulling teeth, getting people involved to say what questions they prefer, then it might take a little bit longer. So it's really about how engaged people are in the planning process. So there's that. The best time to do it, we're doing this all over the country. So if we're doing in a place where it's cold in the winter, we might want to avoid planning something when we're going to be obstructed by snow, because there is travel involved in this. And if we're choosing to do it in a retreat house or a college campus, that might affect the timing of it as well. So when we did in Ohio, we did it at Dominican University, or Dominican College, I guess it is, in Columbus. And we did it in May when school was out and the dorms were open. In Florida, I don't know that August in Tampa is the best time of year to choose to do an event like this, but that was the date that we chose, and we did it in a retreat house. So in that setting, it wouldn't have mattered. We could have done it in November or December or February. So it's really kind of dependent on what's going on with your agencies, where's the location that we're going to see if we can get get people to be at, that allows them both to stay nearby and for us to have the requisite number of conference rooms that we need for breakouts and for the plenary session. So there's a lot goes into that answer. I'm sorry I don't have a simpler answer.
No, that's fine. And a follow-up question. You mentioned you're looking at 5 regions. Is that correct for this
Yeah.
group? So what are the areas you're looking at?
So centered around, okay, Flagstaff, Arizona, Sacramento, Indianapolis, Central New Jersey, and Oklahoma City.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? You want to raise your hand? I can open your line. Or not. So what we're going to do is we have recorded this webinar, and we will send to everyone that I had sent the original invitation to the recording, so you'll have the PowerPoint presentation. If you need to speak to someone about it, you need to get someone excited about it, please do that. And then look for an email from me with a doodle poll in it, and if you decide, hey, this is not a thing for my agency at this point, just respond to that email saying, thanks, Jean, for the invitation, but we're not interested in participating at this point, and that'll help us figure out how we proceed going forward and who the other partners might be. All right, so I thank you for attending and for participating, and I hope we'll be able to work together to bring this wonderful opportunity to your staff and to the staff of the other agencies in the other regions around the country. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye now.